adventure in Pittsburgh on W4CY Radio.
I'm dreaming 94. I'm thinking snowflake. I want more, so more.
This is the Pipe Man here on the Adventures of Pipe Man W4CY Radio. I'm super excited about our next guest and actually where he's at, because we were just talking about that before the interview. So let's welcome to the show, Ryan Roxie. How are you?
Ta-da. What's happening, Pipe Man? Great to be on the show.
Oh, man. Great to have you. First, I have to say right off the bat, I love your studio backing there with all those guitars. Let's start there. Tell us about those guitars, because I'm sure each one of those, the way you have them placed, has some special significance to you.
The only significance it has is that I actually need every single one of the guitars that sort of put around the room. This one especially, because it's a original Alice Cooper band guitar was the Gibson SG. Both the original OGs, Michael Bruce and Glenn Buxton, played the SG. So there, in fact, I have to learn a lot of those songs and their parts. Makes it easier to do on the SG.
There you go.
I thought you'd like to talk about the room, because, like, to be honest with you, I can go and pick up that guitar. It's not even a green screen, which for the longest time, I have done a podcast called the In the Trenches podcast, and I always had a studio green screen, and people always thought, oh man, yeah, that's a cool studio. But I actually have a cool studio now.
See, that looks cool to me. I'm like, I wish I had that as a green screen.
I'll send you a screenshot of just the studio. But no, I'm very lucky to have this and be able to record music. I recorded the last two singles of the guitars and vocals right here in this room, and then it kind of an international affair. The drums recorded in Albuquerque in his home studio, and then we send up all the tracks to Canada to our producer Robbie Miller, and he basically, puts all the love in, puts in all the hard work, making it right. And it becomes an international sort of recording, especially with this newest single that we just have called Fight Another Day. We had a keyboard player from the UK, Keith Weir. He emailed his tracks in to Canada from the UK, and then Brijitte West from the New York Loose. She sang some backgrounds on it, and she was somewhere in Europe, and she laid her vocals down. So it truly is an international affair.
And first of all, I want to say I love the name of that song alone, because I lived that my whole life. Okay.
Fight Another Day. Always. Yeah.
That to me, like, says it all. Like, I don't even have to listen to the song yet and know that is all me. And I'll tell you what tripped me out too. Okay. So I'm wearing today a Grateful Dead shirt, because my live show in a couple hours, I'm going to be dedicating most of it to Bobby Weir. And I was like tripping out when I saw the same name, and I'm like, wow, that's really weird.
Keith Weir, yeah, on the keyboards and on the piano. He's great. He was in a band called the London Quireboys. He's been there for years, and now him and Griff has their own band together. Griff Griffin from the Quireboys. They've got their own thing together, and it's sounding real good. But the Grateful Dead, if you're doing a whole show on it, shouldn't you be like Bong Man and not Pipe Man?
Yeah, what's so funny about that? So I go on tour and I do festivals all over the US, UK, Europe, and the one question I don't ever ask artists is the question that's asked of me all the time by artists. Like, so I never ask, how'd you get your band name? Because I know from a lot of my friends too, that's like the number one hated question that they get. And
Really?
so they all go to me, they all go, well, where'd Pipe Man come? And they always make these assumptions, and then they literally will write a song in the middle of the interview and like sing this song. And it always either has to do with plumbing or what you just mentioned, bongs.
Yeah.
So
everyone knows you were a former adult actor, so Pipe Man was your sort of your nickname, I guess. And
Yeah, there you go.
He was your moniker. Oh, send in the Pipe Man.
That's right. Exactly. See, I surf, so it could go along with that too. Like it could go so many different ways.
I think that's where it actually came from, because you're in the pipe, you're in,
Or skateboarder. I'm a skateboarder too. But guess what? My last name. Yep. My last name is Piper. That's where it came from. It's as simple as that. And that's what I find if people ask how people got their band names, because usually there's not some big story behind it. It's some simple thing, or like, hey, we were just hanging out, we were stoned, and the name sounded good.
Well, yeah, Roxie 77, which is the name of my solo band, that is pretty obvious, is my last name. Roxie 77 made sense. The band before that, that I had a kind of my solo band, but I put a band name to it, was Dad's Porno Mag, DPM, with the great Mike Fasano on the drums and Will Efforts on the bass. But that was Dad's Porno Mag, and that's, again, pretty self-explanatory. The first time you found out about sex, first time you maybe saw another person of the opposite sex with no clothes on, was probably your dad's porno mag, at least from my generation.
Now and that's true. It is true. It is true. And as somebody that used to hang out at the Rainbow with Lemmy and Ron Jeremy, it is true.
Talk about a pipe man. There you go.
I know, right?
Pipe man.
And I want to know too, like, so I heard that Alice Cooper is like one of the greatest to work with, and encourages stuff like you're doing now, doing your own thing, doing your own creativity, having your own projects. So, and I don't think everybody's like that. In fact, I know not everybody's like that. So how cool is he? That
being secure in your own ego and in your own legacy for Alice. He really is. He's the best boss I ever had. And trust me, I've worked a lot of fast food restaurants. So I figure he is the best as far as letting you shine, because of that sort of being relaxed in his own legacy and stardom and household name status. When you play a guitar solo, he wants you up in front and center. He doesn't want you sitting in the back, sort of, pulling a Jeff Beck and putting your back to the audience or anything like that. No, he wants you, boom, up in the center, in the spotlight. And I really appreciate that about him, because he's always supported us, everybody that's in the band, with our solo projects. And you know what? If I can just get him to listen to the new single, I think he'll really like it.
There you go. Well, let's do that. And it's funny because it's true, because like I'm friends with Nita, and I just thought it was very cool. She went and did something else for a little while, but then she was just welcomed back with open arms when she realized it was time to come back to Alice.
Yeah, she did her version of Tal Bachman of what I did. If anyone knows that name, if you know, you know. But I was in a band during the Alice years, between tours and stuff. It was an artist called Tal Bachman, and there was you might not know the name, but obviously there's big pedigree in that. Randy Bachman was the father. It's Bachman Turner Overdrive. It was his kid, his son, and his son wrote a bunch of great songs. Tal did, and I was part of that album and part of this song called She's So High. So next time you're riding in an elevator, or you're at a Pizza Hut and you hear some music, or you're on your Peloton, you'll probably hear that song come up once or twice. But that's my guitars and my guitar solo. But
nice.
That being said, that did not pan out into the world of getting up into the front of the stage and being able to solo your ass off. So when I realized that was sort of the writing on the wall, I'm very happy that Alice did ask me back, and we were able to get back on stage together and rock as a unit, as we have for the last, what did I get back in the band? I was in it from 96 to 2006, took a small break, moved to Sweden, did some gigs in Sweden, few bands in Sweden, did my own stuff in Sweden as well. But then back in 2012, got asked back, and we've been touring every year since then. So on and off since 1996.
And there's definitely chemistry there, because like I've seen you guys quite a few times at the Wimmer festivals, and like there's such, you just see it on stage. Like you can tell when there's chemistry or if people are just going through the motions. And you know, like you can also tell that Alice makes it like a family, opposed to, you know, this is my band, like a lot of bands will do.
Very much so. And I believe that cohesiveness is basically reciprocal with the audience, because the audience becomes the family then as well, because we see so many of the same places. You know, you talk about Grateful Dead and how they travel and they sort of follow the band along caravan. We have our own little Alice Cooper Sick Things caravans that come out in certain sections of the country, and they'll just be with us for like 1 or 2 weeks, and they'll go to all the shows. And we're very thankful for it because of that sort of relationship that we have with the hardcores. And then with every show, hopefully we're still doing it, I will talk to people that will say, you know what, this is my first Alice Cooper show, but I'm coming back. So that's the best thing to hear, is when you know, you've been doing this for as long as we've been doing it, and you still get people that say, this is my first Alice Cooper show, now I'm a fan. I'm like,
I love it.
Great. What took you so long? But thank you.
Right. But that is amazing. And so what was it for you? What was that first moment way back, way back, when you decided playing guitar and being part of music was just a part of you?
I think pretty much the opening first few bars of music Van Halen 1, right? Because when Van Halen, and again, I grew up in the Bay Area, so I was very lucky to be born and raised by that much of a spectrum of music. There was funk, there was disco, there was punk rock, there was metal, there was classic rock. And I grew up in a very cool time, you know, going to concerts in the late 70s. One of my first concerts I ever went to was the Jackson 5 at Oakland Coliseum.
Wow.
And then my second concert was right across the street at the that was the Oakland Arena, Jackson 5. And then across the street was the Oakland Coliseum. I went to Day on the Green with Journey and Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio, the late great Ronnie James Dio, on lead vocals, and Journey headlining the gig. It was, I mean, like, I was very lucky. But then those guitar heroes that came out, man, Edward Van Halen, he just kind of made you listen and go, how is that done?
Right.
And how can I do it? How can I catch in on that?
Like, one of the first songs I ever learned on guitar was Ain't Talking About Love.
Oh,
and Heaven and Hell. My first 3 songs were not Smoke on the Water. They were Ain't Talking About Love, Heaven and Hell, and 25 or 64 by Chicago.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. Well, which later became that Green Day song. I love it.
Right.
But then it was like, my first was Smoke on the Water, just like everybody else. I'm one of you. Smoke on the Water. But I think the second was Your Mama Don't Dance, Daddy Don't Rock and Roll. Not the Poison version. No. It was Kenny Loggins.
The real version.
Yeah, Loggins and Messina. And then I think my third might have been, it's a toss-up between Jumpin' Jack Flash by the Stones, or it was Do You Feel Like We Do by Peter Frampton, who, again, is another one of my guitar heroes that, again, I would stare at that album. And I know that album came out before Van Halen, so I might have to switch my story around a little bit, but never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So we'll stick with Van Halen.
I know, right?
Frampton Comes Alive. Come on, man. That was a game changer as well.
So, speaking of Van Halen, I'll just tell you, just because it's funny, my favorite, I think one of my favorite memories, and of thousands and thousands of shows in my lifetime, was 1983, the US Festival in San Bernardino.
Oh, yeah.
Van Halen was headlining Heavy Metal Day. Yep. And they did start Ain't Talking About Love. There's 300,000 people there, and Eddie's looking over at Dave because he ain't singing. And then Dave just goes into the mic and he goes, I fucking forgot the words, and the whole place roared like that was the best thing that ever happened, except one dude who heckled him, and he turned to that dude and he's like, I will fuck your girlfriend. And like, I'm just thinking, that's live music. People talk about backing tracks and stuff like that. That was so live music right there, because like, you're a good front man if you can overcome forgetting the words by doing shit like that.
And I love the fact that he probably said that line in every town and every like concert. But you know what? For you,
For me,
that was the one that did it. And for me, it was the same thing at the Cow Palace when he said it to some guy at the Cow Palace in San Francisco.
Exactly.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story, because
right?
You know what? That guy deserved it. Yeah, I think at the Cow Palace, somebody threw an orange up on stage. That was the thing. He's like, oh, an orange at me up on stage. That's okay, pal. Because after the show, I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend. And so we all have that David Lee Roth moment. And
it's true though, you know, like you go and it's the first time for you. So you think this is like, oh my God, I'm at this special thing that never happens.
Well,
to your point.
I almost didn't last that show at the Cow Palace, because that was on the Diver Down tour. And I was, pretty young, pushed up in front. And I wasn't tall at all. I'm still not. But my girlfriend at the time was even smaller. And all of a sudden the show starts and she goes under. And I go, what the hell? Where is everybody? And then I get pushed in this thing. And we were lucky to make it out of that one, because that was way before GA. That was way before GA got banned, and general admission was just the way you did it at concerts. So, yeah, I love Van Halen stories, but the US Festival, I think Motley Crue, I think they opened it. Didn't they open Metal Day on that one?
No, I think Quiet Riot opened it, because you had Quiet Riot, you had Crue, you had Ozzy, you had Priest, you had Triumph, you had Van Halen. I'm trying to think who else was that day.
It sounds like a 2025 tour.
I know, right?
We just got off the road with Judas Priest.
And you know what was a trip about? I think it was that year that happened, that I saw Ozzy with 3 separate guitarists in one year. Because Brad Gillis, Randy Rhodes. I saw Randy New Year's Eve right before he died.
Then you saw Jake.
Well, actually, I also saw Pat Travers. Pat Travers for a short period after Randy played, and I caught one of the shows.
Pat Travers taught me a great way of playing Schools Out. We did a show with him years ago, and we asked him to come up on stage for Schools Out, and everybody, says they know Schools Out. And then when it comes right down to jamming it, it's a little trickier than most people think. But Pat Travers actually knew it better than I think I did. And he played this part in the no more pencils, no more books. He played that part. And he literally taught me a new way of playing it that I play today. So I never got to thank Pat for I haven't seen him since that gig. And thank you, Pat, for teaching me a very new, cool way to play Schools Out. And I do it today.
See, that's way cool. I love hearing stuff like that.
I don't talk about that because, I don't know. It's not that Pat Travers and I are in a huge feud or anything like that. I just never have a chance to tell that story when all my brain memory function is working and I'm on the phone with the pipe man. And
and there it comes. There it is.
It's what you bring out in people, pipe man. That's what you do. You bring out good memories.
That's the way it should be too. And how about this? This is a recent good memory probably for you, that you guested on Rocky's Rock and Roll Symphony.
Good segue. Yeah, absolutely. That was cool. That was a very cool memory. I got hats off to Rocky, and hats off to Paul Unger for setting it all up and promoting it and getting people into the studio, because they had never done a live studio audience. And it was a night off that we were having on tour on this last Alice Cooper Judas Priest tour. And ironically enough, I don't know if it's even ironically, but I had a gig to do with the Rock and Roll Symphony. The bands, Judas Priest and Alice, were having a band dinner that night. And I had to miss it. But in retrospect, it was the best missed band dinner I ever had, because we had such a good time filming this and doing it. And it hopefully will turn into something that we're able to do in more places, in more cities and towns when there are nights off on tour. I love coming in, live studio audience. They ask questions. I play some songs acoustically. I get asked good questions by the host, which is Rocky. And then Paul Unger's there, waving the flag, waving his blighter and stuff like that. So it was a good time had by all, I think. So go check it out. I think it's maybe you can put the links in somewhere.
Yeah, I'll put the links in the description for the podcast afterwards for sure. Because I checked it out and I thought it was pretty cool for sure. And everybody has to check it out. So is there anything else you got going on in 2026 that you want the listeners to know about?
I want them to check out all the new music that I have out. I put out a single earlier called Better Than You. And then we just released this one called Fight Another Day. And it's sort of, they go hand in hand together. So go check them both out on my YouTube channel if you can. All the links are at ryanroxie.com. New music is going to continue to come out all throughout the year. And we've got another year of Alice touring all in the works. We're excited about not one, but two shows. There's a Chris Angel, Alice Cooper show that's happening in Vegas.
Oh, that's going to be cool.
It combines illusions and rock and roll, which is one of the first times I think it's happened. And then we have the Alice Cooper, Alice's Attic, brand new set list and set pieces as well. So that's something to go check out. And then, if you want to dive in and become more inner circle, I do this thing every year called Roxie's All Access Pass. And it's basically like having a backstage pass to everything that goes on, before the show, after the show, backstage, post on the bus, getting dressed, the days off. So I kind of give everybody a sort of a glimpse into what life on the road is about. And again, ryanroxie.com, you can go check out All Access Pass. But look out for new music, and appreciate you taking the time to spend with me and giving me some good memories of my own. And best of luck with everything you're doing, Pipe Man. Hey,
you rock. And I love what you're doing. I love your new music. Everybody's got to check it out. And they'll have to check out some Alice shows this year too, because man, those are definitely show. You don't even have to like the music to love the show. I happen to love the music, but it's just such a great show.
There's so much to love about the music because Alice has put together some really amazing bands over the years, whether it's original OGs, with Glenn and Michael and Dennis and that musicality of it, they're just great. And they're the reason why we're still able to tour today, that whole original band.
Yeah.
Because we get to play those hits and those iconic legacy hits. And then all the songs that Steve Hunter and Dick Wagner were part of. And then all the Kane Roberts era stuff, we touch on all of it throughout the show. There's a lot of, it doesn't matter if you're 70s, 80s, 90s, aughts, or even up until this last album that we did with the band called Road. It doesn't matter. Whatever era you're into Alice, I think you're going to enjoy the show.
Absolutely. Well, you are an amazing musician, and thank you very much for everything you've done all these years, and thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipe Man.
Appreciate you having me, Pipe Man. Enjoy the ride, everybody. We'll see you out there somewhere. What's happening, rock and rollers? Ryan Roxie here of the Alice Cooper Band, and you are listening to the Pipe Man right here on W4CY Radio. Rock it.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipe Man on W4CY Radio.